From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 266 From the Middle. We are three middle class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. In this episode, we have a ton of fun wrapping up the Olympics. We put our gold medal stamp on the closing ceremonies, maybe bronze, we're not sure. But talk a little bit about breakdancing as well. Corey had a non-party party, but did get to see Return of the Jedi in theaters as part of the longest running summer movie series ever. Do you know where that is? Well, you should listen and find out. We also talk a little bit about the Magic Water follow-up. If you heard that story, you certainly need to. And we talk a little bit about getting back to school for the kiddos before we talk about what we're streaming and not streaming. Whew, that's a lot of topics. We hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks for listening.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
Hello, dudes.
Hey guys.
Hey, Kendall. Hey, Dylan.
Da, 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 da. However it goes.
Mm-hmm.
However it goes. You know, I was wondering the Olympics. So oh shoot, who was the composer?
John Williams.
John Williams. Is that a Universal Olympics thing, or is that like an American Olympics thing?
It's a great question. I feel like it should be universal, but clearly I'm biased. We should have just invited him on to talk about it on the show. And we could have asked him directly. I'm guessing that's NBC, like John Williams written for NBC would be my guess. Okay. But I don't know.
So it's maybe even NBC specific.
Could be.
For some reason, I feel like it feels nostalgic to me even. But I could be wrong. It could be, one of them optical delusions that I'm having.
You can feel however you want. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Thank you. Speaking of Olympics, did you guys get into the Olympics much this time around? Yeah.
We sure did.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's normally just like the jumping into whatever events you can and then keeping an eye on the gold medal count and the total medal count, which kind of becomes a two pony race with China every year. Like maybe the host nation third, but like usually US and China. And that feels kind of fun. Like I don't have it's not an actual like anti-China sentiment, but it's like it's the Olympics, forget you every other country. This is about America kind of sentiment.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's you root for your nation. There's nothing wrong with that. Something that's always kind of bugged me is when people feel guilty for rooting for America, because I feel like it's because they're taught that they should feel guilty for rooting for America. You think the people from France aren't rooting for France? Do you think the people from Germany aren't rooting for Germany? Like, it's okay. It's okay to root for America. It's okay.
Is that a real thing, or is that like a vocal minority on social media?
I think it's probably a vocal, like most things, it's probably just a loud minority.
Okay.
But
yeah, I don't think there's any problem with rooting for America. And people then sort of get like NBC will sort of tailor these personal stories to try to create more interest. And so people kind of follow personalities too. Like, and I think sometimes that's where you find yourself rooting for individuals for other countries as well. They'll tell a really nice, like Tom Daley from the UK has a pretty good following probably here in the US just because he's been at a bunch of Olympics. He's really good. And so I think sometimes those personal interest stories will drum up support of individual athletes from other countries. But overall, I feel like people are just rooting for Team USA, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
USA. I'm sorry, I've been reading about the John Williams Olympic fanfare, and it seems that it is specific to the network. The official Olympic theme not the fanfare that John Williams did, but the theme is like for the Olympics globally. But
Okay.
his song seems to have come out in 87 for the LA Olympics.
Okay, so it essentially has been my entire life.
Yeah, 84. Sorry, it was introduced in 84 in LA and is used by NBC. But the anthem, I'm sorry, the word is I was looking for was anthem. The anthem is used everywhere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, try to do some real time fact checking for you guys. Did you guys watch the closing ceremonies? Were they
So
as were they as provocative as the opening ceremonies?
No, as a general fan of the opening ceremonies, the closing for me were quite a bit more boring. Like
Mhm.
it was a lot longer and certainly not as interesting.
Less controversial and therefore more boring.
Yeah, maybe. The did you watch it? Did either of you see the
bits
thing
and
that they
pieces. My general thought was that like that's it, the opening ceremony seems to be kind of more of the host country's like big welcome to this country. We're going to do this very much our way, give you a taste of who we are. The closing ceremonies, there's a lot of looking forward to like to the Winter Olympics and then to the following Summer Olympics in 4 years. So there's a lot of like literal and figurative passing of the torch. And so you have bits and pieces from other cultures that make their way into the closing ceremony. And I think for us, like a portion of that was Hollywood coming to LA.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so the athletes walk in and that takes a long time, which is fine. And then they had the world mapped out as a stage on the floor of the stadium and there were lights. And they basically did the because the Olympics started in Greece and then the idea to bring them back was apparently by some Frenchmen. So they had a story that they told with the stage and the lights and a gold being that was like a future dystopian version of the past where the Olympics didn't exist. They discovered the gold traveler discovered an artifact that led to the recreation of the Olympics. And these people went to the different continents as the stage and pulled the rings out of the ground. And the rings were probably like 20 feet in diameter, 2 layer deep, like metal, and they raised them up into the sky. And it was long. Like it felt like it could have been like a 10-15 minute thing. And then Tom Cruise flew down from the ceiling to get the torch and take it to LA. And he got like on a big plane. And I'm sure most of the rest of that was pre recorded. And the part that it all feeling kind of pre recorded just felt like a probably very on brand for LA and Hollywood, but also like and then there was a stage on a beach in LA where people sang songs. So it's fine. It was just really long. I it didn't have the it didn't have the like the storytelling of like Greece and a Frenchman bringing back in a future dystopian thing was neat. Just way longer than it needed to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people loved it. I feel like most people probably thought it was a little too long and a little boring. So we'll see what they do in Hollywood or LA. It'll be interesting to see what kind of opening ceremonies they put on.
So what I really enjoy about the Olympics and a lot of people enjoy about the Olympics is you get to highlight some sports that you normally don't get to watch even if you wanted to. And it's always good to see like indoor cyclists like get to have a stadium experience because you know that like they don't like their parents show up and but no, they don't have spectators at the things that they're doing and that's always good to see, but it's also fun for the viewer to be able to learn about some of these sports and relearn every 4 years. I had touched on like the Winter Olympics starting a couple years ago how much I used the Peacock app to follow some particular sports that like otherwise weren't nationally televised here, and that was really cool. And it's I love the way the Peacock app lays it out that you can go through and you can just the list of all of the sports and just click on one, and if there's nothing playing right now you can watch all of the previous things and highlights and stuff. But what you can't do, oddly enough, on the Peacock app is you can't just go in and say, hey, I want to see what Americans are doing. Like, are there any Americans competing live right now?
Mm.
You can look to see what sports are competing live right now, but you can't zero in on nation. And I wish that they would do that. But and I think Corey might have wanted to talk about this as well. We didn't know that there was any controversy or anything yet at the time, but was it last night or 2 nights ago? We were sitting down as a family in the evening, and we we never watched any of the breakdancing. And so we popped on some of the breakdancing, which was fascinating to watch. And we did watch in our own little real time without knowing any of the controversy afterward, Raygun from Australia. And so we watched it, and that was one of the first ones that we saw. And we're like, is she for real? This is ridiculous. And we were laughing at her in real time at that point. And but rest assured that she was an anomaly. Everyone else was far better than she was. And breaking was actually, I've heard that it's already been killed. It's not coming back to, it's not going to LA, but it was still, we had fun. We had fun watching the women, the B girls, as they say.
Well, I love that you had the real time perspective, because the only context I have is that my algorithm and newsfeed are alit with stories about Raygun and breaking being cut from the 2028 Olympics in LA. And people are saying it's because of Raygun. And then people are saying, no, that was cut last year. Interestingly, and again, this is a vocal minority, so who freaking knows? But people said that it was cut because it was financially one of the most expensive sports, because in order to get licensing for 360 songs to play live on global television, it makes it one of the most expensive sports to televise. And then so that's one piece of it. So then to the Raygun piece, all I saw was like Rachel Dratch was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she came out dressed as Raygun. She was doing all kinds of very silly breaking. And then people are saying, like, is she trolling? Like, is she trying to make a point that this is a silly sport to include in the Olympics? Is she trying to get it canceled? 28? And they're like, again, it was canceled a year ago. It wasn't because of her. Yes, she had some silly moves, but she does have a PhD in breakdancing, no?
That's one of the
so she's Dr. Raygun, and regardless, she broke dancing for LA.
Yeah, a few things. My understanding is the host nation gets to pick one or more events. As an example, LA's bringing flag football, and I think baseball is coming back to the Olympics. So we're going to have some other options. Also, Raygun feels like a nickname a 6-year-old would make up for a Bond villain if they were like trying to be like play shooter guns and needed a bad guy name, like I'll be Raygun, you know? So I don't know why the name, but apparently she's actually pretty good. And she was just trying some new stuff for like the Olympics that were like themed based on where she was from and just didn't land.
Yeah, there's
I can help with the Raygun piece. So she's Rachel Gunn. So
yeah, still
Bond villain is a better theory.
Yeah,
go ahead, Kendall.
But it's interesting. Like her breakdancing looks like a 6-year-old who is throwing a floor-based tantrum for getting their Switch taken away.
A floor-based.
It was so bad. And you're right, she does have a PhD. If I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased. My wife has a PhD, and I don't want people thinking that it's the same kind of PhD. Like, she has a PhD in like cultural movement or something like that, specifically about like the like gender politics and breakdancing. Like that's her degree.
Oh man.
So for what that's worth, but apparently she was part of the reason why breakdancing got into the Olympics. She was a heavy advocate for it. And a little interesting piece of knowledge. You can take it however you can. I'm not drawing any conclusions. But when the Olympic Committee green lights breaking into the Olympics, they need to come up with some kind of way to qualify athletes to compete in the Olympics. The Olympics don't know anything about breaking. And so they go to this like international dance group to spearhead this effort. That group is like more or less like a ballroom dancing kind of thing. So they're not going to set it all up either. They outsource it to individual nation-based organizations. The one in Australia that got tagged is run and operated by Raygun and her husband. And so Australia did hold an actual competition to send somebody to the Olympics. The person who runs the organization happened to win it. So maybe it's legit. Maybe it's not. Maybe she is doing it all so that she can publish a paper. Who knows what kind of motivation is going on? But it was very clear you have the World Breakdance Competition girls, all the B girls, who are all like very good and athletic and doing what you expect breakdancing to be. And then you have her. And then you had her. Very clearly different.
Spicy. That's some spice.
That is some spice. And I'm going to put this very nicely because I saw nothing but clips. I didn't watch it start to finish, but it seems as though she's introducing a lot more art into it, which is very subjective. So you can't really argue the world's fastest man or the world's fastest woman because people start on a line and whoever crosses the finish line first wins. But when you introduce art into the matter, it's like, well, who's to say? It's impressive if someone can stand on one arm. A B girl can stand on one arm and hold the rest of her body for a long period of time. But I can't really argue with art, can I? She's
you can
contorting, and so it's just, I guess there's a lot more margin for discussion when it's a very artistic thing, as opposed to can you jump over that pole higher than the other people did? You win.
Well,
what you're saying is there's a clear difference between some of the original Olympic sports and some of the more modern options that we have.
Yeah, and we can use things like time and measurement and distance and
yeah. How far can you run without falling over?
Yeah. Well, there are judges, and it is up to them to decide. And they unanimously, as in 0 points for her coming out of the round robin round. That she did not move on.
I mean, it's tangential to figure skating or the floor routines in gymnastics. There's a lot more art in that. I'm not saying it can't exist, but this one seems especially arty. Yeah, it was fun times. Watch Rachel Dratch on the Tonight Show. Watch that clip on Jimmy Fallon if you haven't seen it yet. She's great. Well, by way of a quick follow-up, so I shared a story about glitter water last week.
Yes.
And if you haven't listened, go back, listen to that story. I think it's toward the second part of the first half of last week's episode. But anyway, as a measure of a follow-up, grandma's out of the hospital. So I'm not saying that that's because it's trending in a good direction. She could be out of the hospital because it's trending in a even worse direction. But she's out of the hospital. So I'm not saying that the glitter water worked. I just wanted to follow up with that story. So I was informed by another neighbor, not the neighbor whose child. Okay, anyway, if you listened last week, you know what I'm talking about. Thoughts and prayers with Sharon. So I just want to give you guys an update of my not a party. Huge shout out to my wife, who worked very, very, very hard to make the not a party as fun as it was on Friday night. Part of the reason that I didn't want it to be a party is because that puts a lot of pressure on the host. And it turns out that having a not a party is as much work as a regular party. You guys saw that coming. She borrowed stuff, bought stuff, cooked stuff, designed, decorated. It was a super fun night. Couldn't have asked for better weather. I mean, there are memes going around right now about the weather in the Midwest. People are saying, this is the summer I've waited 8 months for. The days are hot. The evenings are cool. It's nice. And it was a perfect night. 85-degree temps in the pool. And then we had a bonfire, and it was getting down into the 60s by the end of the night when things wound down at about 2 a.m. So a bunch of people came through. Some could not, but for those that I got to hang with, I felt very loved, and it was very fun. And a really good night. I got a couple gifts. One is especially relevant to this podcast, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys right now. If you're watching on YouTube, just hang with me for 1 second. Dylan knows about the thing Kendall does.
Oh no, dude!
I got. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
I got all 10 Hot Ones sauces
Yes.
from season 24 of Hot Ones from
Yes.
friend of the show, Brad Burke. And this is going to happen. We're
Let's
doing
do
it. He has now invited himself to participate.
Okay.
He's definitely going to be. I mean, he didn't. I'm inviting him now based on the generosity depicted here. So this is the season 24 sauces. It does not have Da Bomb Beyond Insanity. It has Da Bomb Revolution. So I'm going to ask you guys, do you think I need to buy Beyond Insanity, which is $11 on Amazon, or just go with what's here? Do we want the original Da Bomb?
No, because that's not even like the last. Like we have Last Dab on there, right? Is that the
Last Dab? It's called Last Dab Experience.
okay?
That's fine. It's like the official's Hot Ones kit. Like how much more do we need to modify or customize when it's the official kit?
Yeah,
It's the official kit of season 24 of Hot Ones. So we just have some logistics to figure out. When do we do this? How do we film it so that the middlers who know that we have wanted to do this for so long get to enjoy? Do we do bone-in, boneless nuggets? How do we do that? Make that all work?
Do we have last wills and testaments prepared?
Do we have? Is it first to tap? Are we just going to film it no matter what and enjoy? Are we doing the milk and water? Lots to discuss. Lots of logistics to figure out. But the heaviest lift is now in my hands, and it's going to freaking happen. I'm so excited,
dude. I am excited as well. A little nervous and excited, all at the same time.
But Brad, that is very nice, and it's going to be fun.
Thanks,
Brad's
Brad. Do you know, sometimes when candy is cinnamon flavored, that's spicy. Just for me, just so you know, cinnamon candies are spicy. So whenever we record this, that will be the end of me on the show, and Corey and Kendall will have to pick up the pieces of my imploded heart.
So just to tell you, if you don't follow Hot Ones or know about these sauces, they range in heat. And the measurement for hot sauces is something called Scoville units. So let's just tell you about number one, Hot Ones Classic Garlic Fresno Edition. That's 1,700 Scoville units. That's going to be the equivalent of like your tabletop sriracha. Hot Ones, the Last Dab Experience, 2.6 million Scoville units. So it's going to be fun. Super excited.
That is
Um,
more. That is double that of a ghost pepper.
ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Um, Another quick recap of the rest of the weekend. So the following day, friend of the show, he's been on a few episodes, Greg, told my wife that I should reserve the second half of my Saturday for a mystery gift. It was a two-part gift. We ended up, you guys know that we're big fans as motorcycle riders of these demo trucks that they let you ride all the new models at these dealerships. And so he and I got to ride Moto Guzzi's, Italian motorcycles that we've never ridden. I'm pretty sure they're Italian. Sounds Italian. Um, Motorcycles downtown Columbus at a beautiful, like old manufacturing brick and beam, metal beam kind of facility downtown next to Cooper Stadium where the Clippers used to play, I believe. So right next door to that. So we got to ride motorcycles for a couple hours. Then we popped in at Saucy Brewing Co. for a quick pint where none other than Braxton Miller was just hanging out, signing autographs as some like collaboration he's doing with the brewing company. So I got to meet Braxton Miller and thank him for his time at Ohio State and thanked him for all his efforts and how fun it was to watch him. Didn't ask for an autograph or anything, didn't make it weird, just said, hey, man, I just want to shake your hand and say thanks and God bless. So that was fun. And then the actual main part of the gift was he and I tickets to go see Return of the Jedi at the Ohio Theater, a beautiful theater right downtown across from the Capitol, as a part of the Kappa Summer Movie Series, which I now understand is the longest running summer movie series, if not the globe, for sure the nation. They just play old timey movies in these theaters across Columbus. And it was such a cool thing to see Return of the Jedi on the big screen in a theater full of Star Wars geeks. As we were approaching the theater, I could see from the parking garage exit that there were two stormtroopers, a scout trooper, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, a TIE fighter pilot, Imperial officer, rebel pilot. It was just so fun to watch the movie. And shout out to the organist who's playing live music up near the orchestra pit. It comes up out of the orchestra pit. He plays live music. Wonderful MC. Hey, folks, thank you for coming to our Kappa Summer Movie Series. Great announcer voice, by the way. Very talented organist. And here was the most impressive part. They were doing silent little clips from some of the upcoming movies. Chinatown, Mildred Pierce from 1945, I Married a Monster from Outer Space, and Little Shop of Horrors. Not the musical, but the 1960 version. As those were coming up in different clips, he did a medley live incorporating songs from each of those movies as the next one would click over. And I'm like, this guy's made his own medley of songs from these movies. It was just a really fun night. They did an intermission halfway through the movie. It was really fun to cheer along and laugh along with people who know the movie well. And it begs the question, how well versed are each of you in the community events that go on around you? And do you take part? Greg is so good at knowing, hey, this museum is doing this thing on this night. And then they're doing a family movie and swimming night. And then this thing's going on at Kappa Arts Festival. And there's a jazz and rib fest. Like, are you guys in the know for your local community? Or it's like, yeah, I figure if it's fun enough, I'll hear about it and maybe we'll pop our way over. Because there's so much that you can take it. We were talking about libraries, for example, like a dozen episodes back, and that's something where you can, you don't realize how much you can participate in if you're just looking for something to do. So how good are you guys at that?
Amy is pretty much on top of knowing things like that, and we do a lot of we kind of stick Gehenna specific. So in Greg's case, he's aware of what's going on in Columbus, and that's not us. But
yeah,
there's a Muddy Miler going on in Gehenna this weekend that Amy and the kids are doing. Halloween stuff. The library does stuff once in a while that we will take part in. There's a Swift and Swim night at one of the public pools. So we did that. So we stay attuned to some of that stuff, and we've seen like the symphony played for free at a park in Gahanna one time, the Columbus Symphony. And but yeah, you're right. I think most communities like have a decent list of things that you could do. Um, I don't know how good they are getting the word out to most people. For
Yeah.
Amy, it's Facebook, like community Facebook groups. She's a part of all of them, and she pays attention to them, and that's that for her.
And I mean, as we walked out of the theater after the movie was over, it's like 10:30, 10:45 at this time. We're starting to head back to the garage. We hear a huge roar of applause. And we're like, what's going on? And if you know, the Columbus Commons is right behind the Ohio Theater. And they were having something called Funk Fest. It was like a 4-day funk festival that was just wrapping up. And I'm like, it's one of the reasons I love Columbus is that there's always something to do. But yes, probably hard to stay abreast of all the things going on in all the suburbs, including downtown. How about you and Newark and Heathdale?
Yeah, I think we do okay here locally. As far as Columbus stuff, I know there's so much going on. It's more like if it's big, we'll probably hear about it kind of thing. And a lot of that was coming from Facebook. I don't use Facebook nearly as much anymore. Locally, okay. It doesn't mean we go to a lot, but we at least kind of know what's going on. And then I get emails usually about like concerts and shows and stuff that are going to be going in Columbus. There are certainly far more events than that, but my company that's headquartered in Columbus also has a channel, a Slack channel for the Columbus area folks, and people will frequently post events in there. So that's another way, like I hear about stuff that I'm not trying to hear about, but it's available. So even through work, I get to hear about stuff, that we can decide if we want to go to or not. So, okay, a little bit of a pulse, not great. Probably could do better and find more fun stuff, especially when there's like free events and outdoor concerts and stuff like that. So, okay, I think you guys probably do a better job.
So, but even like non-event things, just like places to go that you wouldn't normally think about, the library is a great resource, often to get into places like that free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if you want to go to the Columbus Museum of Arts, you can do that for free. You just have to go to a library and get a pass for your family, and you can do that without paying for anybody. Like there's all kinds of cool stuff like that if you look for it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Greg, for a fun Saturday. And thanks to my wife and especially our friend and neighbor, Sarah, who worked tirelessly. We had multiple people at the party saying, like, whatever you're paying her, it's not enough. And she was just doing it out of the kindness of her heart, like cleaning people's dishes, bringing refills of people's beverages, like nonstop work. As soon as it got dark, she started lighting the tiki torches. And it just made us really grateful for friends who love on you in that way. And it ended up being a really fun night, and we had a good time. And yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody. And when Sherry asked, "So what do you want to do for your 40th?" I was like, "I just want to be with my people," and it was really fun to be with my people. So anyway, fun times, and more to talk about after we hear a quick word from some of our friends in Odd Pods Media.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Meth Gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
Nothing is different. Everything in the second half of the episode is exactly the same as it was in the first half of the episode.
Yeah.
So the reason that we had to have my party, or my not a party, sorry, early is because I share my birthday is on the same day as the first day of school, which is the classic sign of the end of summer, and that means there's a lot of meet the teacher night, orientation. I've got kids switching buildings. I've got kids switching schools. How are you guys doing? Because on today, the day this episode drops, August 14th, it's first day of school here.
Well, school for us starts on Thursday, which will be tomorrow as far as when this episode drops. And yeah, we've got orientation stuff tonight. Nobody's switching buildings in our house. Nobody's switching schools in our house.
So people are fairly oriented.
Yeah, but we're doing the thing anyway. And yeah, I feel like we're ready. We went through all of our school supplies yesterday, made sure we had everything, and we do. And ready to get back into it. I'm always sad when the summer is over. I like summers with the kids, and we do things, and that's coming to an end now. And my
Kind of a
wife
bummer.
especially, like we have to worry about bedtime now. It's fun to like not have to worry about bedtime. And anyway,
How
But
long
yeah.
does it take to get your crew back in the routine of bedtime? Like a couple nights, or is it like no, they're jacked up for like 2 weeks?
We've been trying to for the past week we've been trying to enforce bedtime, and it's a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a struggle to get them up there and then in bed. And yeah, so we'll see. We might end up having to take some things away for them from them to like get them to go to sleep. But I mean, as long as the proof is in the pudding. If they can wake up and not be cranky in the morning at school, then frankly, I don't care if they stay up for a little bit. But if it doesn't go well, then we'll have to make some changes.
It is a bummer, but there is something fun about a new box of crayons and a new pencil box and new backpack and shoes. Like there's something fun about putting all the supplies together for the year.
Yeah.
How about you, Dilly? How's Finn doing? You ready and chomping at the bit?
Good. Yeah, and Kendall, it's nice to hear that your sad summer's over, like unlike some of the parent posts out there. Anyways, she's excited. Yeah. Her teacher is actually moving up that she had last year to the next grade this year. That's apparently called looping, where the kids have the option, and the parents of the kids have the option if they want their kid to stay with the teacher, which ours was very enthusiastic about doing. So she's looping with her teacher from kindergarten to first grade and is very excited. And so I'm sure that'll go well. The vice principal called and we had a chat about it. And turns out a lot of studies say that it's a great thing. So no school changes, no building changes, not even a teacher change to worry about for our first grader. And it's kind of cool. We got a letter that our school had a program for folks that qualified for free breakfast. And then we got a letter that basically said, because of the fiscal responsibility of the cafeteria staff, all kids in the elementary building can now get free breakfast, and there's no more qualification. And not that we need it necessarily or our kids excited, but it's just nice knowing that there's a lot of kids out there that might not have to worry about, empty bellies going into school when it's, critical years of education. So we don't talk very seriously very often about things like that kind of stuff, but it's a really nice little thing that the school district has made sure that they could do and offer for kids. So we feel really good about the school and the leadership and all that kind of stuff. So nice nod to our community, but she's very excited. School supplies are ready. Stickers have been applied to water bottles. As have keychains on backpacks. We went through and redid all of those from last year's backpack to this year's backpack. And so couldn't be more ready. The keychains are flying and the stickers are tight. So that's where we are.
Remember one year we had to do labels on every individual crayon, colored pencil.
Ooh.
It wasn't just the box. It was that teacher was like, I've had enough issues of people stealing people's colors. If you could just go ahead and label every crayon, that'd be great.
Also, they need the 128 pack of crayons for this year.
Yeah. And on the breakfast thing, that's a nice perk. Our school did that a few years back, and same, we rarely took advantage. But on the days where it was a bit of a rush to get off to school, it's like, hey, buddy, just grab some breakfast on your way in. And it was a nice option to have.
I know sometimes kids aren't hungry at the time that they're told that they need to eat things. And so it's just nice to know that it's like, we told her you can eat at home, but if you ever get to school and you're just super hungry for some reason and feel like that might be a barrier for the day, that, just go ahead and get breakfast, and it's fine. You're welcome to. So yeah, it seems like a simple thing. Kids shouldn't have to go hungry and be worried about that, but that's not the case everywhere. And so it's nice when it's an option.
All in all, it was a super nice summer for everybody. We've talked about it in previous episodes. Memories were made, fun was had, miles were traveled, double-digit birthday parties, hot spotting, furries. I mean, it's been a crazy summer. But alas, here we are, back to school time. Crazy.
We never once went camping this summer. That's my only regret. Like we had
got
so
2
much
days.
going on, so much schedule stuff.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a weekend where we could go camping. It just didn't happen.
Well, the nice part about it being fall in Ohio is that there's still plenty of prime camping weather, even though that's a little harder with school being in session. It's really prime time. Summer can be too hot to camp, and we're now getting into the perfect camping days. Dylan knows what's up.
Yeah. I can walk outside and not feel like I'm in Florida. So
That's always good.
Nice bonus. For those that don't remember, Florida is the place that share an ecosystem like with where dinosaurs would have lived, and has no winter to kill things. So the bugs get bigger, and there's crocodiles to eat you that don't die. So that's that place.
Mhm.
And I don't like when Ohio feels like that place, because I choose not to live in that place. No offense, Florida, you've got beaches, which are great. I'll visit, but I don't want to live in that climate. So, yeah. So starting to cool off a little bit. Hopefully it stays that way.
Indeed.
And we all know Kendall's disdain for Florida, so that's well established on this
Hey,
podcast.
hot, sweaty, and muggy is not my cup of tea. But we were on one of our planes. We had two. I'm pretty sure they were flirting with each other. Like a bag handler guy at the airport talking to one of the flight attendants as we were boarding. And she was talking about how she's from Ohio, but she lives in Florida now. And how she wouldn't want to live in Houston, where we were at the time, because it sometimes gets too cold in Houston. And he's like, "You're from Ohio." And she's like, "Yeah." And I left. I don't want 50-degree weather. I'm like, what? Who are you?
Wow.
Who are you?
Never heard that before.
I had not heard that either.
That's a sentence that's never been uttered about Houston before.
I know.
That Houston's too cold.
Houston can get too cold, is what she said. Now, I don't know if she knows what she was talking about. I'm not taking her word for it necessarily. But she was complaining that it got down to 50 degrees sometimes in Houston. And she didn't want that.
I wonder if she knows where Houston is.
I don't know. She was in Houston at the time.
Because with the amount of times that people say, I'm going to go up there when they drive south, and I'm going to go down there when they drive north, I have a feeling geography isn't a strong subject for most people. If you're going to use up and down, I can at least understand the idea that you're looking at a map on a wall, and in your brain, you're envisioning the map when you say up or down.
Right.
And some people would want to be a little pedantic and talk about like, well, it's not up or down, but I at least get the idea that you're thinking about a map or a globe or something. So I can accept up and down, but the wrong direction, I don't accept. So maybe she's one of those people.
Maybe.
I know a loyal middler who's going to have some thoughts on how cold Houston may or may get. And John, we can't wait to hear from you. You guys streaming anything
when I heard her.
other than the Olympics?
Streaming new things. The Olympics has really been on almost nonstop at our house. I did get another free trial of Apple TV Plus for 2 months, so there's stuff I'm planning on watching. Nothing that I can talk about yet. And the Agatha All Along, the next trailer, that show just looks wild. I've talked about it before. That's coming, and what they're pitching it as like a Halloween thing. So stuff I'm gonna be watching. Still need to see Deadpool Wolverine, but not currently. So if anybody's watching anything really good, maybe it's time to let us know instead of us letting them know. I'd like to know what people watch on Apple TV Plus and some of the other things.
Dylan's got some space on his to watch list and he is ready to go. Are you playing NCAA over there?
Yeah.
College Football 25. Sorry, it's got a new name.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll give the quick version. I talked to when you got the hot one set, what we were talking about, Brad, and him and I talked at length about playing college football. It's got problems. It needs more patches. That's fine. That's, it is what it is. But the play is so good, and they fixed some of the team builder bugs, and I'm having a ton of fun on team builder. Corey, don't even click into it yet until your schedule frees up a lot, because you don't have to have the game to do team builder. You can just go in and start making teams, and you're gonna have a ball with literally when you switch from the brand of Nike to Under Armour to Adidas, it changes like fonts and lettering and options. And yeah, it's so good. So I've been having fun just finding like random colleges that maybe some that don't exist, some that do. I just found Reed College in Oregon. They have a Griffin logo that's like round, and it's just like a cool. I'm like, that'll be a fun team to make jerseys for. So I'm currently building Reed College. And then some people will go online and be like, hey, I really stink at team builder. If anyone's taking requests, this is who I want. And several of those I've commented, like, I'll add it to my list because I'm OCD enough that I'm going to get on Google Maps and look at over top of their actual field if they have one, and look at pictures of their campus to try to pick the right stadium and design and all that stuff. So that's some of the stuff that I nerd out about, and the custom conferences and some of those features. So I've been having a ball.
Just general word to game developers. I don't think it's ever a mistake to bake in more customization.
Yeah.
For any game, any type of game, side scroller, fighting game, first person shooter, more customization always. Yes, please, always. Has anybody ever been mad that you could customize stuff too much? No. That's so fun.
Not a thing. Yeah, you're going to love team builder. So just wait till you free up. Freed up time, and then you'll go in there, because you can actually, I have to go scour the internet for decent quality logos and stuff. You can just design them if you don't like them, and you can make whatever you want, and you're going to have a ball. So
let's go.
There's been lots of fun teams built by other folks out there. So yeah, Reed College. They'll be the next one I finish.
I love how Kendall's just progressively putting on more and more baseball gear. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, this is just what I wear.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is what I wear.
His blinds fall down and you see an umpire behind him. That's awesome.
Yeah. Wait, it just says baseball.
You streaming anything, Kendall, other than WWE? Have you watched SummerSlam yet?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I watched SummerSlam.
And what was your takeaway?
It's almost like you forget about everything SummerSlam when Roman Reigns shows up at the end of it. And that is the defining moment of SummerSlam, which I mean, nobody else knows or cares. But Roman Reigns, he was title holder for 4 years, and then got beat by Cody Rhodes back in WrestleMania, and then went silent. Haven't heard. It's been mysterious about where Roman Reigns has been. And at the time, for people who don't know, he was the head of the table, was his moniker, and he was the tribal chief of what's known as the Bloodline, which is a heel organization within a faction of fighters, a bunch of bad guys that everybody hates, and everybody hated Roman Reigns and everything. And then when he left, one of his goons and assumed the role of tribal chief, and kept saying how Roman Reigns isn't coming back, and I'm the new tribal chief, and he took what was already a bad guy faction into an even worse guy faction, And now then everybody hated Solo Sequoia now. He does the new tribal chief and everything. And then Solo Sequoia and Cody Rhodes are fighting at SummerSlam for the title. And who comes to rescue Cody Rhodes? But Roman Reigns shows up and takes out Solo Sequoia. Roll credits. That was the end of SummerSlam.
Man, I wish I'd be keeping up with it. There's so much fun. And I feel like we're missing an opportunity here for you and your boys to have a WWE post broadcast like debrief. You could do like a 5 or 10 minute podcast with your boys. You've got all the gear over there. Film it, just talk about it. What a fun thing to like memorialize. You guys just do your reaction.
What I need to do is like, because you always know that those moments are going to happen. And I was telling like we're watching SummerSlam, and I was telling the boys like I almost want, here's what I want to happen. I want Solo Sequoia to beat Cody Rhodes. And they're like, Dad, that's stupid. Why would you? Because then I'm like, let me finish. And then we have like a few months of reign of terror of Solo Sequoia, and the whole globe of WWE fans hate Solo Sequoia even more and are just desperate for anybody to take him over. And then what happens is Roman Reigns pops back into the picture after a few months to say, I'm going to take the bloodline back. And now it's Roman Reigns who takes it away from Solo Sequoia, reclaims the bloodline, and then they hit the reset button, because then that gives it time for Roman Reigns to now have it for a few months before WrestleMania next year, and hit the reset button on The Rock coming in to fight Roman Reigns. That was the storyline I wanted, but it's not the one I'm getting, and I like the one that I got better. So
Very fun.
I'm excited.
Very fun.
Yeah.
One other thing I should have asked about streaming, if the wrestling's wrapped, and I don't want to cut you off, Kendall. I just want to make sure.
Oh, it's wrapped.
Did you guys see some of the D23 announcements for the Disney event for movies and shows and trailers?
I heard just a few snippets, and a lot is happening. There are major implications, Kendall.
Major implications. Maybe we should post it. I'll find like a nice recap video or article to post in our from the
They usually do a timeline with the logos or the titles of the
Yeah, it's not even just Marvel and Star Wars. Like, they're making a villains themed land in the Magic Kingdom, the park, Incredibles 3, live action Lilo and Stitch. I mean, it's not just even like Marvel Star Wars news. There was a lot of stuff. So I'll try to find like a nice recap article that we can talk about. I wasn't sure if you guys had seen any trailers or anything. So
saw some photos of the skeleton crew. I don't know if those were like costumes or like actual. I don't know. It just looks cool. There's some Star Wars.
The trailer for that for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It's a live action series on Disney Plus. It's been sort of like pitched and teased as like Stranger Things in the Star Wars universe, or like Goonies in the Star Wars universe. So that kind of kid dark adventure, and Jude Law's in it. So that's interesting. Adding him to the Star Wars universe. Lots of updates. Like I said, too much to cover here. Worth mentioning, worth people going to Google if you're generally into that content, and we'll find a nice recap so people can see what's coming.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Now we know what's going on in the world of social media and entertainment in the world, and it's exciting times. There's a lot happening.
I don't have anything to say about baseball. I just kept.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm tapped.
You probably need all those layers. I've heard it's cold in Houston. Anyways, make sure to head over to our partners, Artius Man, ARTIUSMAN.com. And I know man is in the name, but it's not just for men. We're inclusive here. We want everyone to go buy stuff from Artius Man, not just men. So go over there, use promo code The Middle once you've scoured their website for every single product that you might enjoy and every one of your loved ones might enjoy. Fill up your cart with tons of goodies, things that you're going to love dearly for a very long time until you're out, and then you need more. If you use promo code the middle, you'll save 25% off your first order, which is great for you, great for them, and great for us. They're a partner of ours, and we appreciate. It's a Columbus area local business. Great people over there running it. You're supporting really, really cool people that aren't crazy social media fringe lunatics on social media, and business owners during the day. They're actually cool people with an actually cool business and product. So definitely support them, and we appreciate any of that. I think with that, we're done.